So every time I visit Australia, and then it's my fourth visit to Petros's house. We have always enjoyed this place for good sessions. Om Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Om Ganana Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashranvannoti Visida Sadhanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shuklambaradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarvighnopashantaye Gajananam Bhutaganadisevitam Kapittajambu Phalasarabhakshitam Umasutam Shokavinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Padapankajam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. On. Om Bhadram Karne Bhishrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabharyajatraha Sthirairangai Sasthanubhi Vyashema Devahitayadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashrabaha Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Ganapataye Tvameva Pratyaksham Tattvamasi Tvameva Kevalam Kartasi Tvameva kevalam dhartasi, Tvameva kevalam hartasi, Tvameva sarvam khalvidam brahmasi, Tvam sakshadatmasi nityam, Ritam vachmi, Satyam vachmi, Avatvam mam, Avavaktaram, Avashrotaram, Avadataram, Avadhataram Avanochanam Avasishyam Avapaschataat Avapurastat Avottaratat Avadakshinatat Avachodhvataat Avadharatat Sarvato mam pahi pahi samantat Sarvato mam pahi pahi samantat Sarvato mam pahi pahi samantat Tvam vangmayastvam chinmayah Tvam anandamayastvam brahmamayah Tvam satchidanandadvitiyosi Tvam pratyaksham brahmasi Tvam jnanamayo vijnanamayosi Sarvam jagadidam tvatto jayate Sarvam jagadidam tvattastishtati Sarvam jagadidam tvailayameshyati Sarvam jagadidam tvai pratyeti Tvam bhumirapo nalo nilo nabha Tvam chattvari vaakpadani Tvam gunatrayatitaha Tvam asthatrayatitaha Tvam dehatrayatitaha Tvam kalatrayatitaha Tvam mooladharasthitosi nityam Tvam shaktitrayatmakaha Tvam yogino dhyayanti nityam Tvam Brahma, Tvam Vishnustvam Rudrastvam Indrastvam Agnistvam Vayustvam Surastvam Chandramastam ब्रह्मभूर्भुवस्वरों गणादिं पूर्वमुच्चार्य वर्णादिं तदनन्तरम् अनुस्वारः परतरः अर्धेन्दुलसितं तारेण रुद्धं एतत्तव मनुस्वरूपं गकारः पूर्वरूपम् अकारो मध्यमरूपम् अनुस्वारश्च अन्त्यरूपम् बिन्दुरुत्तररूपम् नादः सन्धानम् संहिता सन्धिः सैषा गणेशविद्या गणकऋषिः निच्छ्रुद्गायत्री छन्दः गणपतिर्देवता ॐ गं गणपतये नमः ॐ गं गणपतये नमः ॐ गं गणपतये नमः ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात् एकदन्तं चतुर्हस्तं पाशमङ्कुशधारिणं रदं च वरदं हस्तैर्बिभ्राणं मूषकध्वजं रक्तं लम्बोदरं शूर्पकर्णकं रक्तवाससं रक्तगन्धानुलिप्ताङ्गं रक्तपुष्पैः सुपूजितं भक्तानुकम्पिनं देवं जगत्कारणमच्युतम् आविर्भूतं च सृष्ट्यादौ प्रकृतेः पुरुषात् परम् एवं ध्यायति यो नित्यं स योगी योगिनां वरः ॐ नमो व्रातपतये नमो गणपतये नमः प्रमथपतये नमस्तेऽस्तु लम्बोदराय एकदन्ताय विघ्ननाशिने शिवसुताय श्रीवरदमूर्तये नमो नमः ॐ श्रीमन्महागणाधिपतये नमः. What's that? See, Chandrashtamam means it will all be there. This is called Chandrashtamam day, Radhiji. Chandrashtamam means something, some small obstacles be there. That's okay. Bhagwan's prasadam. Om Yaschandasam Rishabho Vishwarupah छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पीतः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ मेधा देवी जुषमाणान आगात् विश्वाची भद्रासु मनस्यमाना त्वया जुष्टानुदमाना दुरुक्तान् बृहद्वदेम विदते सुवीराः त्वया जुष्टऋषिर्भवति देवी त्वया ब्रह्मागतश्रीरुतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्वद्रविणो न मेधे मेधाम् इन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विनावुभावा धत्तां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः दैवी मेधा सरस्वती सा मा मेधा सुरभिर्जुषताम् आमा मेधा सुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगति जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा पिन्वमाना सामा मेधा सुप्रतीका जुषन्ताम् मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि यज्ञस्तेजो ददातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि इन्द्रियं ददातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां व्यासशङ्करमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ। As I said, this Ishopanishad or this Ishavasya Upanishad, Ishavasyopanishad, is a Shukla Yajurvediya Upanishad. It belongs to Shukla Yajurveda. And the Shukla Yajurveda Shanti Mantra is the Purnamadaha Purnamidam mantra. Let us begin the class with the Purnamada mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. You have to remember carefully again, all the swaras are only Anudatta and Udatta, no Swarita. Om this is for the new people. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The purpose of beginning the class, any study, with a peace invocation called Shanti Pataha is very well known to you. But still, it's Sampradaya, we have to see the meaning of the Shanti mantra, Shanti Pataha. We call it Shanti Pataha mainly because we end this Shanti Pata saying Shantihi 3 times. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Here we say. Elsewhere we say Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Shantihi is a Ikaranta Strilinga Shabdaha, a feminine gender word, which means peace. Peace implies being free from all forms of obstacles which cause pain. Obstacle in anything, impediment in anything causes pain. Is pain. Impediment is pain. Hindrance is pain. An obstacle is pain. Isn't it? So if there is an obstacle, there is pain. There is pain means there is disturbance. There is turbulence. There is turmoil. There is no peace. So when you say this, here we invoke the peace. So it's a peace invocation, which means for the peace to be there, there should not be any obstacle. There should not be any pain at all. No disturbance. For which there should not be any obstacle. And here, when in our Shastram, when they analyzed thoroughly what can be an obstacle, where can be an obstacle rise from, what can be the source of obstacle. Because obstacles are so many obstacles. You can't even count. So many obstacles will be there. So you can't pray, to ward off every small obstacle. Instead, you find out the sources of obstacle. Sources, the obstacles, from where the obstacles rise. In that way they found out very clearly there are only 3 sources of obstacles. There is no 4th source of obstacle. We have to be very clear about it. Should not have any doubt about it. Is there a 4th source of obstacle? No. There are only 3 sources of obstacles. So the first source of obstacle will be you yourself. One's own self will be a source of obstacle. Obstacle, especially, so obstacle can be in accomplishing anything, in any endeavor, especially in pursuit of knowledge also, there will be obstacles. Mainly there will be obstacles. And here how can I myself can become a source of obstacle if I am physically ill or if I am mentally disturbed. Some situation can cause my own mental disturbance, some reason which caused my mental disturbance or my own physical illness can become an impediment for me, can prevent me from attending the class, or even if I come and sit in the class, I may not be able to listen and understand, I may not be able to focus because of my mental discomfort and physical discomfort. Therefore, I myself can become a source of obstacle. So when you yourself can become a source of obstacle, and then also there's a pain, and that pain caused is called what? Adhyatmika tapaha. Pain pertaining to one's own self. It's called Adhyatmika tapaha. I explained last time when I came here also, I explained the same thing. Tapaha literally means heat. Atapaha means heat. Tapaha means heat. And the heat can scorch and burn, cause pain. Similarly, here the emotional pain caused by one's physical or mental discomfort also can scorch the mind, can haunt the mind, torment the mind. That is why pain is also likened to the heat here. Tapaha is implied by the word tapaha. So the pain caused by the obstacles arising from obstacles for which one's own self is the source, then we call it adhyatmika tapaha, main. Suppose even if you are fine, you are not the source of obstacle, but still anybody else other than you, anything else other than you, associate, your own associates, or accompaniments, or friends, or relatives, people in the family, anybody else or anything else becomes a source of obstacle, which also can become which also can prevent you from being comfortable in the class, which also can prevent you from being attentive. Then we call, then also there is a pain. So pain caused by obstacles arising from another source other than yourself is called Adi Bhautika Tapaha. It is not a new lesson, I know very well. Adhyatmika Tapaha, Adi Bhautika Tapaha. Now we have Adi Daivika Tapaha. It is neither you nor anybody else other than you associated with you, but the natural calamities. We had floods in Uttarakhand. Lots of programs got affected. There, like tsunami came, earthquake happened, or sudden rains. It need not have big calamities like that. Even sudden rains, everywhere traffic. Or heavy snowfall. Any small, even half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, sudden natural calamity, sudden natural happening can happen, and it can cause a lot of obstacles, become a big impediment. So pain, the tapaha, pain caused by obstacles arising from, the natural calamities. It's called Adi Daivika Tapaha. Of these, the pain is the same, but pain caused by obstacles arising from three different sources. We have, sometimes these obstacles are non-predictable. Non-predictable, they're non-controllable also. Even if they're predictable, suppose if weathercast can, the forecasting of the weather, they can be predictable but still uncontrollable. Which means we do not have say over certain situations. Only when you understand your utter helplessness, that you do not have say over what is non-predictable and what is non-controllable. And even if it is predictable, it is uncontrollable. then you only seek help. When you seek help means you pray. You invoke the grace. So here also, when you say before, you thoughtfully, attentively, thoughtfully, we do these Shanti mantras because we mean what we really say. We don't mechanically chant. May there not be any pain at all caused by any obstacle arising from any of these three different sources. This is the implication of chanting Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti 3 times. So to ward off all forms of obstacles arising from three different sources, we say Shanti 3 times. When you chant Shanti also 3 times, even though Shanti is a complete word, when you chant them together, you have to say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Visarga, no, you have to take care of the sandhi. Om Shanti 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 Shantish Shantish Shantihi. When you chant, we don't say Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. No. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. And here when you say chant Purnamadaha, Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. And this particular Shanti mantra, the Purnamadaha, has no commentary by Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada as a Shanti mantra. But the same mantra, the Purnamadaha, the same mantra comes as a part of the Upanishad in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in the 5th chapter. So there's a commentary by Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada. So we have to take that commentary to understand the meaning of the mantra here. As I said earlier, this Ishavasyopanishad is a Mantropanishad, and any Mantropanishad will have a Brahmanopanishad as its commentary. And this Ishavasyopanishad has, as a Mantropanishad, Brihadaranyaka as the elaborate commentary. That is why in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the same Shanti mantra comes, in the 5th chapter. The first mantra of the 5th chapter of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is Purnamadaha Purnamidam. So this commentary, we have to take the commentary on that mantra to understand here this Shanti mantra as a Shanti mantra here. If we take Om, like any Shanti mantra begins with Omkaraha. Even though if you know this already, my saying now to you and you are hearing this now itself is a yajna. It's worship. That's why I just repeat it. Om, any mantra begins with Omkaraha because you cannot begin any mantra by saying anything. You cannot make any mantra more auspicious. anything else. To make any mantra the most auspicious, you have to begin mantra with Omkara. There's no greater auspicious sound than Omkara. Therefore, we begin the mantra with the Omkara. And as you all know very well, Om itself, if you take Mandukya Upanishad, the Prathama, the first chapter, you understand how elaborately Omkara is discussed there. Omkara is a sound symbol of the Lord, the whole. When we invoke the grace of the Lord, when you need to worship the Lord or pray to the Lord, we have an altar for the Lord, the whole. Because in worshipping, in praying, you need to relate to the Lord. And to relate to the Lord, you need a symbol. Because Lord is the whole. Lord the whole is inclusive of you, the worshipper, the one who is praying to the Lord. So how can you, the individual, who is part of the whole, who is included in Bhagavan the whole, visualize Bhagavan or see, Bhagavan? It's difficult. It's impossible for the mind, tiny mind, which is part of the whole, to visualize Bhagavan. Isn't it? That is why you need an altar, need a symbol, which represents Bhagavan. That's why we can have any one form, and which has limbs, and wherein we invoke the grace of the Lord. So form with the limbs is called Savayava Murtihi. Avayava Sahita Murtihi. Avayava Sahita Murtihi. Avayava Sahita Murtihi. Savayava Murtihi. A form with the limbs is called Pratima. Any form. That's why you have so many forms in Vedic culture. Even the Vedic period we did not have forms. But later on, the forms of worship which are based on the Vedic vision introduced a lot of forms. Any form, any altar, which symbolizes the Lord the whole. If it has limbs, it's called a Pratima. If a form does not have limbs, it is called Pratika. Niravayava Murtihi Pratika. Like Shivalingam, like we have Shalagrama, they're all Pratikas. A form without limbs. Pratika. Form with the limbs also can be an altar. A form without limbs also can be an altar. And here, what about Om? It is not even a form symbol. Neither a form with the limbs, nor is it a form without limbs. It is not a form symbol, but it's a sound symbol. It's a form of symbol, but it is a sound symbol. Om is sound symbol. That is why in drawing and keeping Omkara, isn't it? If you draw, it becomes a form, isn't it? If you write it. So Om is a sound symbol. So sound symbol also is a Pratika. So Om stands for the whole, the Lord Bhagavan. The manifestation in its entirety is symbolized by Om. And it's very beautiful here to know the meaning of this Om. If at all you have experience, where does the world exist for you? The world does not exist outside of your experience, isn't it? The world is what? In your experience. If there's no experience, if you do not have any experience, there's no world for you. Isn't it true? The world is an experience. Therefore, this word is experience means, we say in waking, there is a state, waking is a state of mind which is a state of experience. Only during that experience you have this gross universe. This gross universe exists for you only in your waking state. Isn't it true? This same gross universe is not there for you when you fall asleep. Again, from sleep, if you are awake to a subtle universe projected by your own thoughts, you have only dream universe. You do not have all the three states of experience simultaneously. We call them three different states of experience. And each state of experience is a state of mind. They cannot be together simultaneously. One has to go for the other to be there. That is why they are always discontinuous and mutually exclusive. Isn't it? So each state of experience is what? A Jagat. We say Vyakta Prapanchaha, the gross manifest universe. Is in experience. The experience is not outside of the experiencer. Therefore, that universe is, the gross universe experienced during the waking state is Bhagavan, manifestation of Bhagavan. Again, the subtle universe experienced also is what? Not outside of Bhagavan, it's also subtle manifestation. It's also Ishvara, the Lord. When subtle and gross, both universes, not experienced, then when we call them the unmanifest, subtle universe also is unmanifest, gross universe also is unmanifest in deep sleep state. The universe unmanifest also is what? Unmanifest also does not have existence outside of the Lord. Unmanifest universe also is the Lord. The subtle manifestation also is the Lord. Gross manifestation also is the Lord. The only Lord appearing as the manifest universe and the unmanifest universe, remaining as the unmanifest universe. There is no universe other than Ishvara, manifest or unmanifest. Universe, subtle or gross, manifest or unmanifest, anything is Ishvara. No? Therefore, that's why we say, if we take this Omkaraha, and it consists of three sounds, Akaraha, Ukaraha, Makaraha. And this Makara is followed by silence. Omkaraha consists of two parts, sound part and silence part. Akara, Ukara, Makara, three sounds, sound part. The silence following the Makara, silence part of Omkara. We never take into account silence. Silence is part of Omkara. Om, Om, When you say that Om consists of 3 sounds, Akara, Ukara, Makara, 2 syllables and 2 vowels and 1 consonant. Actually, it's 1 syllable. It's a monosyllabic sound. And that silence following Makara is another part. So this Akara stands for gross manifestation, which is Ishvara. Ukara stands for subtle manifestation, which also Ishvara. And Makara stands for the unmanifest universe, which also Ishvara. The manifest becomes unmanifest, unmanifest again becomes manifest. This constantly happens. That is why we say Jagat comes and goes. Jayate gacchati iti Jagat. That which keeps coming and going is universe. Means what? Becomes manifest, again becomes unmanifest. Unmanifest becomes manifest, the manifest becomes unmanifest. So here, so the gross, subtle and unmanifest universes. The Akara, Ukara, Makara stand for these 3 worlds. And the silence which follows Makara stands for the reality, the consciousness, which is the same in all 3 states of experience. It continues to be there. That is why one sound stands for the whole. The entire experience in its entirety. Waking, dream and deep sleep state. States of experience. All 3 states of experiences. There is no experience outside of Ishvara. There is no experiencer other than Ishvara. There is no experience outside of Ishvara. There is no experienced universe outside of Ishvara. The experienced universe is Ishvara. The experience is Ishvara. The experiencer is also Ishvara. Everything, all that is here is the Lord. Om stands for this whole. That is why Omkaraha is known as Pranavaha. Pranavaha. Why is it called Pranavaha? I don't know whether I told you last time here. If you take Navaha, take this dental Nakara. Navaha. Navaha means Nama. Nama means name. Tom is one Navaha. Petros, Navaha. Navaha is a Nama. But you change it, you add that prefix pra. The dental Nakara becomes cerebral Nakara. Pranavaha. Navaha becomes Pranavaha. So one name is one word which can indicate only one object. Isn't it? So each object needs one Navaha. One Navaha, one name, one word can indicate only one given object. Mike means can indicate only one object. But if at all there is one word which can indicate all the objects, the world of objects in its entirety. It's a very special name, isn't it? A unique word, a special word. Why it is a unique word? So the Pranavaha means a unique name. Navaha is a simple name. Pranavaha is a unique name, a unique term. Why? A term can indicate only one object, but this Pranavaha, Omkaraha, is a unique term. Why? Because the one Om indicates the world of objects in its entirety. It stands for all the objects. Is it clear? That is why Pranavaha. Unique. Pranavaha means unique term, unique name. The one term which stands for all the objects, which indicates all the objects. Therefore, Om stands for Bhagavan, the whole, the sound symbol of the Lord. This is one meaning. Another meaning also is there. This also I told you last time. The world is nothing but objects, all the objects put together. The known. Even if there is something unknown, unknown also is what? Will become the known after knowledge. Therefore, we don't take anything known. Unknown also comes under the category of the known. Because unknown will become the known, can become the known after knowledge. Therefore, known is what? An object, isn't it? The whole world which comes under the category of the known is constituted of innumerably countless objects indicated by innumerably countless words. And what are these objects are indicated by words? And any word indicating any object of any language is nothing but is sounds, many sounds put together. And sounds are nothing but vowels and consonants, and vowels and consonants are sounds which emerge only between gutter and the lips. Therefore, A is a guttural, is a labial, and any vowel, any consonant sound of any language cannot arise anywhere apart from this part, isn't it? Therefore, A, U, is guttural and labial, including this ukara. 3 sounds stand for all the possible sounds that can be made, that can be pronounced, that can emerge. All the sounds stand for all the words of all the languages. All the words, understand, stand for all the objects indicated by the words. All the objects constitute the whole. Isn't it? It's inexplicably, incomprehensibly vast universe. So, Om is like A is equal to B, B is equal to C, C is equal to D, D is equal to E. You can say A is equal to E. Then here, Om stands for all the sounds, vowels and consonants. All the vowels and consonants, all the sounds stand for all the words of any language, all the languages. All the words stand for all the objects. Objects stand for what? Actually constitute the whole universe. Therefore, Om stands for the whole. Om means the whole. Bhagavan, Ishvaraha, the Lord. That is why Om is a sound symbol of the Lord, the whole. That's the reason any mantra is begin with the Omkaraha. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam. If you take this mantra, Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. First quarter of the mantra, if you take Purnamadav Purnamidam, stop there. It's a Mahavakyam. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. Take only quarter of the mantra, it's a Mahavakyam. How do you say Mahavakyam? This quarter of the mantra reveals the identity between the individual and the total, the microcosm and the macrocosm. It reveals the oneness of the truth of the individual and the total. Just a quarter mantra. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. Purnam means infinite, complete, fullness. Purnam means complete, infinite. Adaha. Adaha means tad, that. So Adaha stands for Paroksha Ishvaraha. Paroksha Tattva. Adaha means stands for the Lord, the whole. Paramatma. Adaha stands for Pada Paramatma. So Adaha Purnam. Purnam Adaha means Ishvaraha Purnaha. The Lord is infinite. The Lord is complete. The Swarupam of the Lord is fullness, complete, infinitude. Ishvaraha Purnaha means the Lord is infinite. That's a statement. Adaha, Purnam Adaha. Now Purnam Idam. So again Purnam means what? Purnam again is infinite. Idam is a pronoun, a third person singular pronoun, idam also. But it means this. So idam stands for nearest to this. What is the nearest to this? When you say idam, idam you generally stands for, it's a third person singular pronoun. Adaha, that. Idam, this, isn't it? This means you come, what is the nearest to this? Nearest this is self. Therefore, idam stands for tvam. Tvam means you. The truth of the individual. Individual I. Idam stands for I, or you can say you, the individual. Idam, this. So, aparoksha. See, aparoksha atma is indicated by idam. Paroksha Ishvaraha is indicated by adaha. Now I know what is BD staring at me. What is paroksha and aparoksha? See, to know light is, I need the eyes. To know there is somebody is speaking, I need the hearing power. To know it is warm, I need this sense of touch. The instrument is required, isn't it? To have the knowledge of an object, for a given object to become evident, I need an instrument of knowledge. To know I am, do I require any instrument of knowledge? Therefore, aparoksha. Understand? Aparoksha means indeed self-evident self is aparoksha atma. Self is self-evident. Everything else is what? Evident to the self, isn't it? Therefore we say paroksha. So paroksha Ishvaraha. Aparoksha Atma. Aparoksha Atma. So this idam stands for aparoksha Atma. Adaha stands for paroksha. You can say idam stands for aparoksha Jivaha. Adaha stands for paroksha Ishvaraha. You can say tatpada arthaha. Tatpada means the pronoun tad. The word tad stands for the Lord. In Mahavakyam Tattvamasi. The pronoun tvam stands for the jiva, jivatma, the individual self. So here adaha purnam, idam purnam means what? That is infinite. Ishvara is infinite and jiva is infinite. Jivaha purnaha, Ishvaraha purnaha. The individual is complete and infinite. The total also is complete and infinite. The Lord, the whole, is complete and infinite. The individual, you, are also complete and infinite. Adaha purnam, idam purnam. That is infinite, you are infinite. This individual is infinite, the rest of the whole is infinite. So Jiva Swarupam, the truth of the individual is infinite. The truth of the total is infinite. Jiva Swarupam is infinite. Ishvara Swarupam is infinite. So Mahavakyam. So the question comes, how can there be two infinites? Infinite means that which is free from all limitations, isn't it? So if there are two infinites, then what happens? One will limit the other. One being different from the other, one being limited by the other, isn't it? There can't be two infinite. Though here we understand, therefore, how can there be two infinite? Jivaha Purnaha, Ishvaraha Purnaha, Adaha Purnam, Idam Purna means, how can there be two infinites? The problem comes. So that means the only way we can understand understand this is this Jiva Swarupam, the truth of the Idam, Jiva, indicated by Idam, and the truth of Adaha, indicated by the Ishvara, indicated by the pronoun Adaha. What now? Ekam abhinnam, one and the same, indivisible. Ekam abhinnam, one and indivisible, same. Must be one and the same. The truth, Swarupa must be the same. So, aparoksha Jiva Swarupa Tattvam, Jiva Swarupam, paroksha Isvara Swarupam, must be one and the same, must be indivisible. Only then one can say, this is infinite, that is infinite. This is means what? This Jiva Swarupam is infinite, that Ishvara Swarupam is infinite. The truth of the knower is infinite, the truth of the known is also infinite. It means one and the same. If the one and the same, then how can we talk about this then? There's a difference. There are differences. What differences we have? No, first of all, Jivaha, we say this aparokshatvam, Jiva has aparokshatvam, being the immediate self. And Ishvara is what now? Has parokshatvam. The parokshatvam, aparokshatvam. The difference is there between Jiva and Ishvara. Then there is, we say Jiva is little knowing, alpagyatvam, and Ishvara has sarvagyatvam. Ishvara has omniscience. Ishvara enjoys omniscience. And Jiva enjoys alpagyatvam, limited knowledge. And Ishvara enjoys sarva shaktimatvam. Jiva enjoys alpa shaktimatvam. Jiva has very limited power, and Ishvara is almighty. Jiva is little mighty. So all these differences are there. Therefore, how can we say that then Jivatma, Jivaha Purnaha, Ishvaraha Purnaha, Tat Purnam, Tvam Purnam, Tat Purnam, no? Then Tvam Purnaha. Ishvaraha Purnaha, Jivaha Purnaha, Adaha Purnam, Idam Purnam. How can we say that? Then we have to say, we have to take this Swarupa. Okay? Take this Swarupam from the standpoint of this Swarupam of Jiva and Ishvara, Tat and Tvam, or Adaha and Idam, there is no difference. From the standpoint of Swarupam, the truth. The truth of the known, the truth of Ishvara, the Swarupam of Ishvara, the whole, is Purnam. And the same Chaitanyam is what? The truth of the Jivaha, indicated by the pronoun Idam. So, aparoksha Jiva Swarupam and paroksha Ishvara Swarupam is one and the same Chaitanyam, one and the same consciousness. The truth of Adaha, truth of Idam, it happens to be one and the same consciousness. We can say now what? Therefore, we can say Jivaha Purnaha, Ishvaraha Purnaha, we can say that. Paramatma Purnaha, Jivatma Purnaha. Purnaha means infinite. Therefore, from the standpoint of the truth, there is no difference. So, when you say Jivaha, again, it's a sopadikaha, So, Jiva, the Atma with Upadi, Atma with Jiva Upadi, individual body, mind, sense complex, is called what? Sopadikaha. Upadi means what? Here manifesting medium is called what? Upadi. The Atma, the consciousness, with this Upadi. Upadi means body, mind, sense complex. is Jiva Upadhi. Jiva Upadhi. And the same Atma with Maya Upadhi. This is Ishvara Upadhi. Upadhis are different. The total Upadhi is Ishvara. Atma with the total Upadhi is Ishvara. Jiva with individual Upadhi is what? Atma with individual body, mind, scope Upadhi is Jivaha. So with the Upadhi, Atma is known as what? Sopadhikaha. Upadhi Sahitaha. Atma endowed with the Upadhi. So the difference is this Sarvagyatvam, Alpagyatvam, this omniscience and limited knowledge, almighty, all might and limited power. This difference is only from the standpoint of the Upadhis. Only from the standpoint of the Upadhis. So Upadhi, we can understand here with the help of example. When you say ocean and wave, the ocean name and form is an Upadhi. Wave name and form also is an Upadhi. Okay, the name and form becomes Upadhi. Upahitam means the truth obtaining in the given form. Upahitam, the water, the H2O is Upahitam. Water, the H2O is Upahitam. The name and form wave is one Upadhi. Ocean, name and form ocean is another Upadhi. Is it clear now? So the now difference is, now when you say wave is ocean, the difference is not from the standpoint of the Upahitam is what? One and the same water. There's no difference. The standpoint of Upadhis, Nama Rupa, there is difference. Is it clear? Similarly here also, there is the Bedaha, the difference is from the standpoint of the Upadhis. The individual, for a Jiva, the body, mind and complex is the individual Upadhi. And for Ishvara, the entire, the whole, it's the Maya is the Upadhi. The standpoint of Upadhis, there is difference. If you remove the Upadhis cognitively, intellectually remove the Upadhis, remove the name and form wave intellectually, remove the name and form ocean intellectually, then see the Upahitam water. There is no difference. So Nirupadhikam Upahitam. Understand? So similarly here also, from the standpoint of, we say Adaha Idam. Adaha Purnam. Idam Purnam. Purnamadaha Purnam Idam. If we take there again. So from Nirupadhika Chaitanyam, from the standpoint of Nirupadhika Chaitanyam, the standpoint of pure consciousness without the Upadhis, without the Ishvara Upadhi, without Jiva Upadhi, without the body, mind complex, without the Maya. If we see that as the truth of the whole and the individual, the standpoint of consciousness, there is no difference. Therefore, what now? The standpoint of the Swarupam, the truth, Adaha Purnam, Ishvara is infinite. Idam Purnam, the individual also is infinite. Is it clear? This is what is revealed. The standpoint of, so Nirupadhikam means what? Without the Upadhis. From the standpoint of, if you see, the standpoint of Upadhis, then there is a difference. Say Sopadhika Jivaha, Sopadhikaha Ishvaraha. If you see Ishvara as Sopadhikaha, and if you see Jiva as a Sopadhikaha, there is difference. With the Upadhis, there is difference. From the standpoint of Upadhis, there is difference. The standpoint of Upahitam, the truth, the tattvam, the swarupam, the reality, there is no difference. The ekam abhinnam. Adaha swarupam is what? Adaha, Purna means what? The swarupam of that Ishvara, the whole, the truth of the whole is Chaitanyam. The truth of Idam, this Jiva is also what? Chaitanyam. Therefore, from the standpoint of Upahita Chaitanyam, Nirupadikam Chaitanyam, the pure consciousness without the upadhis, there is no difference whatsoever, because they're one and the same indivisible consciousness. Is it clear? This is the Purnamadaha Purnam Idam. The Mahavakyam. Adaha Purnam Idam Purnam. Purnamadaha Purnam Idam. Is it clear? Purnat Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Now comes Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Udachyate means comes into existence, born out of. So Purnam, Purnat Purnam Udachyate means the infinite is born out of the infinite. Or the infinite comes into existence from infinite. What do you understand here? Infinite comes into existence from infinite. Purnat, from the Purnam, from the infinite. Purnam, the infinite. Udachyate comes into existence. Arises. Born out of, is born out of. So here you have to take what now? Sopadika. Understand? Sopadika. How can, the question comes, how can the infinite be born out of the infinite? How can infinite come into existence from infinite? Isn't it? The question comes, you have to say Sopadika. Sopadika. Whenever talk about the coming into existence, you have to think of what? The Sopadika. So he says, Sopadika means what now? With the Upadhi. So it's like saying, there is a Mahan Akashaha, there is total space, just as part space comes into existence from the total space, so does so does Jiva comes into existence from Ishvara. Is it clear? Jiva, Jiva is infinite, Ishvara is infinite, but you talk about now the Jiva infinite has come into existence from Ishvara infinite. How can one infinite come into existence from another infinite? We already have established what is not. The infinite is one. We can't have two infinites. So we already understood Mahavakyam. So now his Purnat Purnam Udachyate means the infinite comes into existence from the infinite, means how it is like the part space coming into existence from the total space. There you have to understand, which means part space does not come into existence. The part comes into existence, isn't it? The birth of the part, coming into existence of the part is attributed to part space, isn't it? Part alone comes into existence. The part alone is born. the birth of the pot, the coming into existence of the pot is attributed to pot space. The pot is born, we say pot space is also born. Is it clear? Similarly here, when you say Jiva, the Jiva Upadhi is born. Jiva Swarupam is not born. Is it clear? The truth of the Jiva is not born. Jiva Swarupam is not born. The truth of the individual is not born. The individual body is born. Isn't it? So birth of the individual body is attributed to the birth of the individual Swarupam, the truth. Is it clear? Therefore, Purnat Purnam Udachyate means it is not possible for infinite to come into existence from infinite. Infinite cannot come into existence. Why? Infinite is timeless, eternal. Only you can call it infinite. Infinite is that which is eternal, time-wise limitless. So how can infinite come into existence first of all? That is from infinite. And if infinite has to come into existence from infinite, does the infinite undergo change or what? No. Without undergoing a change, infinite remaining what it is, still infinite comes into existence. Infinite is born. Udachyate. No, it's only about sopadika. Understand? So sopadika Ishvarat, sopadikaha jivaha udachyate. Okay? From sopadika, from Ishvara, the Atma with Ishvara Upadhi, this Jiva with Jiva Upadhi is born. Like what? Like pot space is born out of total space. Really speaking, there is no such a thing called birth of pot space at all. There is no pot space at all. There is only space. But birth of the pot is attributed to the pot space, and it is said pot space is born out of total space. Similarly here, Purna Ishvarat, Purna Jivaha Udachyate. Purna Ishvarat, Purna Jivaha Udachyate. Purna Sopadika Ishvarat, Purna Sopadika Jivaha Udachyate. Understand? Therefore, birth of the Upadhi is attributed to the Upahita Chaitanyam. Got Upahitam, Upadhi, all these terms must be very familiar with. Otherwise, you will find it difficult to understand the class. Is it clear? Upahitam, Upadhihi. Is it clear? Let me continue. So, Purnat Purnam Udachyate. See the space, total space, and we talk about the pot space. Really speaking, there is no such thing called pot space. That's just a space. And you, in a space, you bring a new pot, buy a new pot and put it there. And you say what now? Pot space. Okay, pot occupies a given space is a pot space. Inside the pot there's a space, pot space. Pot space is small, room space is big. And you compare also. That is big, it is small. More spacious, not spacious. Big space, small space. Is there such thing called big space and small space? There's only one space. And why do you add adjectives to the space, big and small? Because you're comparing. You're comparing with what? Comparing the space obtaining within pot, the space obtaining within four walls, the room. Is it clear? And here the space is upahitam. The room is upadhi. Pot is upadhi. Understand? Pot is upadhi. Room is upadhi. Associated, isn't it? So the form and name associated with space is what? Upadhi, for this space. And the space is upahitam. The space associated with the Namarupa is upahitam. Understand? The name and form associated with the space is what? Upadhi. Is it clear now? What is upahitam, what is upadhi? Like that. Really speaking, from the standpoint of the upadhis, there is difference. Why do you talk about big space and small space? We talk about the bigness of space and smallness of space when these two adjectives are meaningless, because there is no such thing called big space or small space. We compare and we talk about big and small, we talk about the difference in space. Is there really a difference? There's no difference. Why there's no difference? Because pot space is space, total space. Room space is space, isn't it? It's a total space. It's just a space. There's no difference. But it's different. But there's a seeming difference between pot space and total space, big and small. The difference is from the standpoint of upadhi. So what is born now? Upadhi, birth of the pot, is taken to be the birth of the space. Birth of the room is taken to be the birth of the space, room space. Therefore, this room space or pot space. There is no such a thing called room space or pot space. And how can you talk about the birth of the room space and birth of the pot space? So the birth of the upadhi is taken to be the birth of the upahitam. Is it clear? Similarly, consciousness, the chaitanyam, the Atma, the all-pervasive, innermost essence of all the beings, the reality, the consciousness, is ever infinite, isn't it? Infinite. That's why you couldn't say ever. It is infinite. And which is the swarupam, truth of the individual and truth of the whole. Adaha Purnam idam. Truth of the adaha is what? Same Chaitanya. Truth of the idam is what? Same Chaitanya. One and the same. Ekam abhinnam. One and the same. Is it clear? Where Purnat Purnam Udachyate means Sopadhika Ishvarat Sopadhikaha Jivaha Udachyate. Which means the Sopadika Purna Ishvarat, from Ishvara, Sopadika, from the Ishvara. Sopadika Ishvara, Purna Ishvara. From the infinite Lord, the Jiva, the infinite, comes into existence. From the infinite Lord, the infinite Jiva comes into existence. Like what? Like the pot space is born out of total space. Is it clear? Purnat Purnamudachyate. Next sentence. Purnasya Purnamadaya. Purnasya. Purnasya here means Sopadika Jivasya. The next thing you have to say what now? You have to say which should be which Purna should be taken as what you should know. Isn't it? So Purnat means Purna Sopadika Ishvarat. Purna Udachyate means Purna Sopadika Jivaha Udachyate. The Jiva comes into existence. And Purnasya Purnam Adaya. There Purnasya means what? Purna Jivasya. Sopadika Jivasya. So when you take this Jiva, the individual, Sopadikaha Jivaha, okay? Like a pot space. Like the, no? Sopadikaha Jivaha. The individual Atma with the Upadhi, body minds complex. Sopadika Jivas. This Purnasya, this Purna Jivasya, Purnam Adaya. If you remove the Atma Chaitanyam, if you remove cognitively, remove the consciousness from Jiva. What is a Jiva? Atma, the consciousness, plus body, mind, sense complex is what? Individual. What is pot space? Space plus pot is equal to pot, name and form is what? Pot space, isn't it? Pot space plus name and form pot is equal to pot space. Is it clear? Huh? Space, given space plus name and form pot is equal to pot space. Similarly, who is Jivaha? Individual. Atma, the consciousness, plus the name and form, the body, mind, sense complex is equal to individual. From this individual, okay, Purnasya, of this individual, who is nothing but Atma, the consciousness plus body, mind, sense complex, Purnasya, Purnam Adaya. Adaya means taking away. Not physically, you can't take it away, okay? Individually, intellectually, cognitively, okay, removing, taking away what? Atma, the consciousness. Take the consciousness, okay? Cognitively, intellectually, take the consciousness away, Atma away. No, Purnamadaya. What will be there if you remove? When you remove, okay, see, wave, what is a wave? A wave is water plus name and form wave, isn't it? Plus name and form. Water plus name and form is equal to wave. Now from that wave, you take the water away. Take the water away. What will be there? You will say name and form. Is it A plus B minus A is equal to, we'll say B. No? A plus B minus A is equal to B will say. But here we have to say what now? Atma plus Upadhi is equal to Atma plus Upadhi minus Atma is equal to, not Upadhi, 0. Atma, the consciousness, plus the Upadhi, body, mind, sense complex, minus Atma is equal to 0. You know why? It has no independent existence. When I say wave, no, wave is what? Water plus name and form minus water is equal to 0. Why? The name and form wave has no independent existence. The water is taken away, will there be name and form? Similarly, here also, when you say individual, Atma plus Upadhi, the name and form, is it minus Atma is equal to, we will tend to say what? Upadhi. But there's 0. Know why? The name and form, Upadhi has no independent existence. Hope you got it. It's a mathematics, huh? Swamiji says, mathematics, banks of Ganga, 0 comes, Pujyam. Why? Because there is no independent existence. Upadhi has no independent existence. Upahita Chaitanyam Satyam. Understand? Upahitam is Satyam. Upadhi is Mithya. We always think, oh, wave, water plus name and form is equal to wave. Water plus name and form is equal to ocean. And this wave is born out of ocean. Is wave born out of ocean? What is born? Is water born out of ocean? No. Ocean is water. Wave is water. The water is not. The name and form, birth of the name, the form, wave, is taken to be the birth of the water. Is it clear? It's called Purnasya Purnamada. Purnat Purnam Udachyate. So Purnasya Purnamadaya, if you take away the Purnam, the Chaitanyam, the infinite reality, the truth of the Upadhi, from the Upahita if you take away, Purnasya Purnamadaya, what remains is Purnameva Avasishyate. What remains is only Purnam. What remains then afterwards? What is there? If I take away the Upahita Chaitanyam, the body minds complex. What is there now? What continues to be there is only Chaitanyam. Consciousness alone is. The Upadhis resolve in the Upahitam. Is it clear? What remains is Chaitanyam only. Purnam eva avasishyate. What finally remains is only Purnam. You count the number of all the waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All the numbers, all the number you count, all will resolve along with the waves. Number will resolve in waves. Because the waves lose their countability. They do not have countability. Non-countable. Because you can count the waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 only if they have independent existence. Take away the water, then count the waves. They don't even exist. And where's the question of countability? they lose their existence. Isn't it? So, countability is possible only if anything enjoys independent existence. So, anything which does not enjoy independent existence does not have, what now? Countability at all. That is why Purnasya Purnamadaya, okay, take away the Purnam from every jiva. From every wave, take away the water. What is there then? Purnameva avasishyate. Understand? What remains finally is only Purnam. Infinite alone remains. The infinite reality alone is. One was, one appears to be many, one continues to be there. One was, one continues to be there, appearing as many, and one will continue to be there. Is it clear? Purnameva avasishyate. So, sopadhika. So, the difference is only from the standpoint of upadhihi. For every individual, we say every individual body, mind, sense complex is an upadhi for Atma, the consciousness. Because Jiva upadhi, individual upadhi. The total universe is what? Ishvara upadhi. Understand? Upadhi. The standpoint of upadhis, there is a seeming difference. The standpoint of the Swarupam, the truth, the Upahitam, there is non-difference. From the standpoint of Upahitam, there is non-difference. From the standpoint of Upadhis, there is difference. And Upadhis are mithya. Because Upadhi has no independent existence. Therefore, it is non-countable. Purnameva avasishyate. Okay, this is the meaning. Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada gives in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in his commentary. I think this time I'm thinking of dictating even notes for all of you so that you won't make any mistakes. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.